Though that thought was just a day thing, and then all of a sudden it took over my entire brain. Made me happy for a second.
Who was fucking Adderall the whole time?
No.
Yeah.
It's so shocking to see how far I've come. I tried my first Adderall in 2010. I was 17 at the time. It was the best feeling that I've ever experienced, and I became extremely addicted. 1 year later, I got my own prescription. It was right when I started college. First, it was about 10 milligrams of Ritalin a day. Of course, that didn't do anything, but my doctor didn't know that I was already taking them for about a year. Shortly after that, I got my prescription up to 20 milligrams of Adderall a day, extended release. I told myself that the Adderall was just to help me with school, but it really was just so I could party more and stay up later. I went to cosmetology school in a town with a huge university so I could party as much as possible. The parties were intense and they were almost every night. I began using Adderall as my crutch. If I didn't have it, I would stay home from school and not go out, so I had to have it. So when my prescription ran out, I would just buy it from people who I knew had a prescription. In my eyes, that just wasn't enough. I ended up getting 2 different prescriptions from 2 different states from 2 different doctors. By that time, I was no longer using it as a party or a social drug. It became my entire life. I would get my pills from the pharmacy, take them right away, and every 2 hours, take more. I would stay up for days, and if I did end up hanging out with friends, I looked so disgusting and strung out that they didn't even want to be around me. I knew something needed to change, so I started counseling. My boyfriend took me to my appointments, and he even sat in the room with me at times. It worked for a while, but I still didn't quit. People kept asking me what I'm doing with my life, and I never had an answer. I kept getting impatient, and I thought the only way to look good and prove to people that I could actually get sober was to move to Minneapolis and go back to school. I was completely naive about my sobriety, and I thought I would be able to handle living in Minneapolis by myself and be sober at the same time. Well, I couldn't. With only $120 left from my financial aid, I moved in with my boyfriend 2 hours away. I knew my car would make it there, but I knew it wasn't well enough to make it back. So I drove to his apartment and I didn't look back. I finally decided that I need to let this go, or my future, my health, and my mental state would be completely ruined. I was exhausted from chasing this drug from people I never wanted to see. I was tired of not having any money to survive and needed a way out. I finally said enough was enough. I stopped talking to everybody, I cut out the people in my life who were associated with the drug, and Lance provided for us both while I was trying to get sober. After trying to quit one too many times, the day finally came where I did. April 2nd, 2015 was the last day that I ever took Adderall. After quitting, all I did was sit at home, with no job, a car that barely ran, and so little hope that anything would ever get better. Binge watching the next show was the only thing I had to look forward to. My thoughts were so negative and my self-worth was almost completely gone. I gained almost 50 pounds in less than a year. I used food as my drug, and I begged Lance to take us out to eat, and I would order the most unhealthy thing on the menu. Every day I looked at my old pictures to see how skinny I used to be. I hated myself for gaining that weight, but Lance kept telling me it'll balance out, just be patient. I got used to my body and just considered myself overweight. And I thought it was my new life. I started to feel like crap every day. Being off drugs was hard, of course, but not taking care of myself made it even harder. I finally got the courage to get a gym membership. This decision was probably one of the best ones I've ever made. I started doing some major research on how to lose weight and how to balance my hormones after the drug abuse. I stumbled across some YouTube videos, and I can honestly say that these videos changed my entire life. I saw how they were doing it, and I just copied them, and it worked. I became passionate about lifting weights and challenging myself in the gym. I loved the results, and I went from 196 pounds to 160 pounds in less than a year. I actually got excited to wake up every morning. I started loving myself and changing my negative thoughts to positive ones. And the more I did this with the attempt to feel good instead of look good, the happier I was. Fitness became my new Adderall, and feeling healthy became my new high. Just that one positive thought turned into more positive thoughts, and it eventually became my way of living. Living life became fun again. I could feel my happiness coming back, I was getting natural energy, and food tasted so good. I don't stay motivated every single day, but every day is one more day without drugs, and that right there is a true blessing. My experience with addiction and self-harm is something that happened for me, not to me, and I'm truly grateful that I get to experience the great things in life again. It's so shocking to see how far I've come.